Hello and welcome to another episode of Never a Straight Answer, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined in the studio, well, not in the studio, by remote, still in lockdown, it's Mr. T. Hey. Welcome along, welcome to the show. Alright, calm down. How's it going? Episode 85. Are you ready? I don't know. 85 episodes, not far off 100. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the live show.
Yes.
When we hit episode 100. That's going to be pretty cool. Where we'll be answering questions, we'll be getting involved with you guys. We'll have opportunities for you to get involved live as the show's going on. So we've got something to look forward to, and that's not that many episodes away. 15 episodes. So, you know what I mean? Ooh. I'm getting excited for that.
I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks.
Have you?
Yeah. Like what to add in, like that, what to do, certain things on it.
Yeah, exactly. I've been trying to think up some cool shit to do and how we were going to present it and everything like that. If you've got any ideas, give us a shout and we'll try and sort that out or incorporate it in somehow. Just had some news that things aren't really changing very much until for another couple of weeks at least. So it looks like more lockdown. I think the restrictions on kind of going out your area and, you know, like not interacting, but, you know, like basically you won't get in trouble if you're a bit out of town, you know, like it, and you're not going to get pulled by the police anymore at the moment, you know.
It's not stay at home now, it's stay alert.
Yeah, stay alert. That's the new message from the government. Don't, you know, be vigilant. And I mean, it's a bit vague.
Not for Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. No.
Scotland have basically totally said we're in lockdown still. Don't worry. You know, nothing's changed really. Yeah. Wales have done another 3 weeks. England seriously just getting vaguer and vaguer as this kind of crisis continues. And obviously everybody who's at home under lockdown kind of needs to know what's going on pretty quick, sharpish, I think. So, you know what I mean? It's one
basically, you can go work if you're needed. Don't use public transport. But apart from that, everything else should really roughly stay the same.
Oh, right, okay. So, it's just literally more of the same.
Yeah, it's just some people can go to work, some people still won't be allowed to go to work, yeah.
Well, the weather's been absolutely fucking amazing here in the UK for the past couple of weeks. I mean, it's almost like it's taunting us a little bit by saying, you know, look how great it is out here. But, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you can at least go in the garden, and they're seeing a lot of people with suntans. Yeah. So, I mean, they're obviously taking... What's that?
That's if you've got a garden. Some people haven't got a garden.
People who live in apartments and whatnot, then obviously they've got, you know, if you live in a flat where you've not got access to a garden, say, then it's pretty kind of grim, isn't it? I mean, you can't really go to
parks. You can still go out, have a walk.
You can go for a walk, yeah, at least you can do that. And like I say, it's a bit less lax at the moment, a bit laxer at the moment. So, you know, even though we're still in that lockdown stage, it's kind of one of them, innit? But...
Alright, then, like... Well, we'll find out the results of doing this in 2 weeks' time, because if people start getting contagious again, then
and we have another spread
will, in 2 weeks' time, the numbers will be up.
Well, have you been keeping yourself busy last week since we've last seen you?
Yeah, I've been looking at all sorts of different things, from the Devil's Core.
Oh, right, that sounds interesting. Sorry. What's that?
The Demon Core,
Demon Core. Harry Potter and the Demon Core.
Well, it's to do with the plutonium for the third nuclear bomb that was actually going to be dropped on Japan.
Oh, right, okay.
But they surrendered, so they had this core. Now, what the problem was is you couldn't have both parts touch it, or pieces of metal, any kind of metal touch it.
Right.
It would overreact then, and it would spray out shitloads of radiation. So they had benzene to cover it, and a solid slot in the middle of a element to stop them touching each other. But while 2 people died touching this.
Right. Okay.
But they were experimenting, just doing little experiments. And but it's an interesting story.
I mean, is this like something that's supposed to be potentially extraterrestrial, or what's the situation?
No, when I first was looking at it, I was expecting something like that, but no. It basically turns out that these people made little errors, accidents, like were doing a lab, and they basically killed themselves by.
Oh, shit. So a bit kind of like what they're talking about with Wuhan, say maybe a bit of a kind of lax insecurity in their what was it, a bio lab as well? Did you just say?
It was no, it's in the United States.
Oh, right, so it's just literally like a fucking you know, like highly top secret research place.
Yeah, it was under the Manhattan research, and they were trying to see what they could do with it. So they were trying to use different capabilities, like to keep it as a power cell, and not just like use it as a bomb. And actually, a part of the stuff that they actually did, we use today in our nuclear power stations now.
Right. Okay.
So they were actually, they were actually doing some.
Yeah. So they were experimenting on that type of thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the fucking capabilities that we've got now. Yeah, obviously. Pretty good, interesting kind of segue into tonight's topic, which we're talking about tonight. Japanese UFO encounters. And this has come from the fact that the Pentagon has just released videos saying, you know, we actually acknowledge the fact that there is UFOs.
Don't know what they are.
We don't know what they are. I mean, they're unidentified flying objects, and like you say, that could be anything. That could be an Earth fucking civilian who's created a craft. It could be another country, top secret aircraft projects, or it could be aliens. Yeah. Now, since those videos have gone live on the internet, obviously, other countries have started going, well, we've got a load of cases as well that we don't know what they are. And so
Japan said they have none, and they're going to start doing it now because of that.
Well, that's not technically true though, because there are UFO encounters in Japan, and we've found a few of them. Two of the most documented or the most notable that we found, and one's kind of like really back in the day, 1800s, and one's pretty recently. So so we'll have a look into those. How have you been kind of thingy in the boredom? Obviously it was Star Wars Day the other day. So I did some of the Star Wars movies in. Had a bit of a chill. You know, watched a new one, which is I've seen it before, but it's still pretty good watch. In fact, out of the 3 new ones, that's probably my favourite one. I think obviously whatever they did in the second one was just a fucking farce. But I seem to remember there was a Kickstarter campaign for them to redo the second Star Wars movie, and they raised a pretty fucking hefty chunk of money, I don't ever recall seeing that movie being made. I was wondering if they actually give that money back, or
because where does Rogue One sit in it? To be honest, I still trying to work out where Rogue One is in it.
Well, Rogue One's brilliant. Rogue One's set between the Empire, the Return of the Jedi, and
the Empire Strikes Back.
No, and the new one. So they, from between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, that's when that one's set, Rogue One, because they've got. Do you know there's that line, isn't there? Like a lot of boffins died to get us this information. You know? And I was always like, fucking boffins. Is that like just like fucking knowledgeable people, or is there a race called boffins that got out there and got this information for them? Now, you know, obviously the crew of the Rogue One don't look like boffins to me, right? So, you know, I kind of wondered about that, but they based the whole Rogue One film around that one line, and that's basically, it's like, who died to get us this information? Somebody went out and got it, and ended up in Leia's possession.
Presidents then. You could set one film out, send every 5 minutes you've got a certain line.
They could literally use the dialogue of Star Wars and pluck one meaningless line out of it like that, I mean, this is the other one. It's like, I did the Kessel run in however many parsecs. It's like, oh, how did you do that? Yeah, well, obviously we're going to have to show that in the new Han Solo movie, you know, and it's like, you know, you're just showing stuff that we don't really need to see, because it's great that the fact that they've left it to our imagination. Do you think
they're trying to break records like what they did with, like, well, you know, the Star Wars collection? It starts in the middle, then the end, then the beginning, then the fucking end, instead of like it being a course.
Well, there's never like
now he's going, because Disney's got it now, so they're thinking, oh, why don't we try something to?
Well, Marvel kind of do that now, because they keep releasing movies that are very similar in, like, you know, one set in this decade, one set in that decade, and they kind of do tie together eventually. But you know, it's kind of like a bit of a broken timeline, isn't it? And I think Star Wars is one
that will eventually get back. But then again, I watched it. I found the program that I missed years ago, like in the 90s, I think it was. It was called Space Above and Beyond, and it did 23 episodes. And then they fucking cut it straight off, and then important bit, they cut it straight out. Never got.
You never seen it again.
And it's like,
hey, when you do stuff like that,
if you set me off on this jigsaw of a fucking quest, and then in the end you're just going to get.
Give me the information. Yeah, this is it. I hate it when shows cancel before they've given a chance to finish the storyline off, because it's like, well, I've invested so much time into this, and you've just fucked me right off. Do you know what I mean?
That's probably why The Office was only a couple of...
so many times about like stuff like Last Man on Earth, and what was that one where it was like a UFO support group? You know, and that ended without an explanation, and it was just like, oh, come on. There's a solid in there. At least if you're going to cancel a show, let them have the 2 episodes to just end it. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just pulling the plug. But
they should do something like Phoenix Night or The Office. They did 2 lots, then it's finished.
Yeah, then it's done then, isn't it? But
you know what happened at the end.
Yeah, Spaced's another one. It has a beginning, middle, and end. Finishes. It's concluded. Beautifully done. 6 episodes without fillers gives you a broader storytelling platform, because you can get more information into each episode rather than fucking diluting it with fucking fill. Yeah, just to get 26 episodes out of it. Then you have episodes they throw in. Like, you watch The Flash or any of these, or like even, I was watching Warehouse 13. And they throw a Christmas episode in. Yeah, but if you're watching the story, the progressive arc, and then it becomes like, so one of the characters is in a situation where they disappear or leave, right? But then the Christmas episode's the next episode, and everyone's back, and it's like, well, when's this set within this timeline? You don't understand it. It's like by throwing filler episodes in, it just, like I say, dilutes the main arc, and that's what I know about. Do you know what I mean? I'm not interested in if in 2 seasons
we'll talk about Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
And the first couple of episodes, first couple of seasons, there was endings where it's like, hold on, what fucking happened there? What happened there?
Yeah,
and then start like 3rd season, and it's like, everyone's there, everyone's been put in their position, there's a storyline now, it goes back and forth, and it all connects, and it goes on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've watched a couple
of... Why did you have that set up at the beginning?
Watched a few good movies this week, actually. Do you know, there's nothing much else to do. A couple I recommend. Knives Out with Daniel Craig. Very Foghorn Leghorn with his act. It's really good. Check that out. Fantasy Island with Michael Penner. He played Luis out of Ant-Man.
Oh, right,
really funny.
He was on about this the other day, wasn't he?
Yeah, Fantasy Island, check it out. It's not a comedy, it's obviously it's a thriller, and it's based on the old TV show with Tattoo and the plane. But nobody ever seems to know what I'm talking about, so there you go. If you know what Fantasy Island is, leave a comment, tell Taylor, because he's so uncultured. Also watched The Gentleman, Guy Ritchie's new fucking brilliant twist movie.
I've got to watch that again because I can't remember a lot about it, to be honest.
It reminded me. I watched Snatch again today because it was just so.
The other day, actually.
It was so reminiscent of the first time I watched Snatch or the first time I watched Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. It was a clever piece of film, and definitely recommend checking out The Gentleman.
I remember bits of it. Last week.
You watched anything new or any recommendations for the people out there?
Based Above and Beyond, I found that the other day. I thought I'd start watching that.
Is that the one that cuts out though? Is that the one you were saying just like...
Yeah, but I watched it.
It's still worth watching it to kind of see if you missed anything, I suppose.
At the same time as like the X-Files were out. So I was into my, certain series. I'm trying to gather certain bits of information and, enjoy a program.
Yeah.
But like this one was like going all right, and then it was like, oh yeah, he's taking the next step, he's doing everything like right. Even though the cast was all right, the set wasn't that great, to be honest. The green screen and all that weren't really that great, but I like
they got me in. There you go.
Things in it, yeah, and it's just brilliant. But then at one point when they were trying to destroy this alien race, and their shuttle come apart, so they're floating towards a planet, and then it went dead, and there was shitloads of other little stories to it.
That sounds like the fucking chain. I don't know. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
It's a bit like Battlestar Galactica.
You know what? That's exactly what you kind of put into my head. Bit Battlestar, but like when was it? From the 80s, 70s?
90s.
Oh, from the 90s. So it's probably got a level of CGI, but like...
Yeah, it's got a bit of level, but it was still a bit bobbing, do you know what I mean?
Totally understand. I know there's a lot of shows that I like that are kind of a bit bobbins in that respect, but they've just got a charm about them.
But then not blue movies.
Blue movies?
B movies. B movies used to be around all the time, and everyone used to love them.
Yeah, because people still love B movies. There's a whole like culture of people who love like B movie genre, and I don't even think they like calling them B movies. To be honest, I think
I wouldn't have called that B movie either, or B series. I think it had that little bit more upgrade to
movies. A lot of them, yeah. Well, moving on. I forgot which jingle button is the jingle button. I know which one it is, I think.
That's it.
We've got What's Fucked Up Where You're From this week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to press this button and hopefully it's the jingle for What's Fucked Up Where You're From. Yay. Well, this week...
Where's it fucked up where you're from?
This week, we've had Alan from Edinburgh get in touch. Alan. Nice one, Al. Al's said he's pretty much... He thinks Edinburgh's one of the most haunted places. Yeah. And I could probably agree with him on this one, because there's a lot of stuff Edinburgh's, rich in heritage and history. And there's a lot of kind of older structures, castles, all types of stuff. And the castle itself has... number of hauntings. Obviously every old castle has a ghost or two, but you can imagine that the number of ghosts that haunt a 9th century old castle.
Beheadings, white ladies, horsemen with no head, possibly.
Probably the most famous castle ghost is one of a piper boy. Yeah. Now, a piper... like a cavalry piper or something like that. Somebody who leads at the front. Yeah, we're next to the drummer boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and the boy.
It's and basically when some tunnels underneath the castle were discovered centuries ago, he was said to explore them, playing his bagpipes along the way. However, the boy never returned, and his body was never found. And they say that he still roams the tunnels, and you can hear him playing his bagpipes. So
that's a bit strange, that.
It is a bit strange, isn't it? But I mean,
there's actually nobody found. So how do you know that the kid didn't wander off and have a successful life?
It's his soul, isn't it? It's like a ghost's. They say a ghost's presence is the fact that it's kind of unfinished business, or it's it doesn't know it's a ghost.
Past timelines that have just floated into our timeline.
Yeah. It could be parallel universes. It could be a point in history where this boy's alive and well. And at Edinburgh Castle, there's an intersection of these two realities where you can hear echoes of this bagpiping little boy. You know, you don't know. But Edinburgh, the people of Edinburgh and people who visited the castle have said that, you know, they've experienced this, and it's gone down as one of the most haunted places in Edinburgh. One of the other places that's supposedly haunted is the Holyrood Place, or Palace, sorry. And it's situated at the foot of Arthur's Seat and looks to a lovely to be haunted. It's what's that? Seats looks lovely to be haunted. Yeah, it was a sense of horrible murders during the reign of Mary Queen of Scots.
All right.
This palace, right? The personal secretary of Mary Queen of Scots was killed by Lord Darley and his friends. So he's kind of known to be, you know, a ghost in the palace. Lord Darnley was the second husband of Mary. He got jealous of a guy called Rizzo, having spent too much time with Mary, and this led to a terrible murder. Rizzo was stabbed 56 times, and then you can still see the blood stain in one of Mary's chambers. So the stain is still visible today. So, you know, obviously, bit of a bad blood in the palace. So
covered up, or someone's dropping something. That must have, like, you know, an air, because when the air gets to it, it will start.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's like, was it sat there that long that it's physically stained the concrete, or what? I mean, I don't know. I've got a stain in my bathroom that I can't shift. Yeah, with no matter what I try on it, you know. I don't know what it is. But it won't go away. Similar thing, it's just there. Do you know what I mean? Like, and maybe it's to do with the fact that the haunted Rizzo is still fucking present, and that's why the stain's still there. Or that's the reason why the spirit's knocking around, because he's still elements of his physical form. What?
Yeah, it's a ghost stain, you can't move it.
Maybe
every time
that's
you move it goes back through.
Funny enough, there's been reports in terms of hauntings when they say, like, handprints of children and stuff like that, where they'll say, oh, there's a handprint of the kid on a fireplace, and no matter how hard to clean it, it won't go away.
And it stains all the way through. Even if you change the brickwork, it'd come back.
So I've got another one. I think these are the vaults in Edinburgh are a truly horrific place. In fact, they're one of the most scariest attractions in Edinburgh, hidden under the South Bridge. There's a labyrinth of spooky chambers. And basically, after the construction of the bridge in 1788, these chambers were used as storehouses. Unfortunately, soon, basically, they turned into vaults. But they used to flood. So they were abandoned in the early starts of, you know, when they basically finished, you know, making the bridge. So the vaults became homes for criminals, murderers, and basically fucking vagabonds, rogues, whatever. And basically turned into brothels as well. So there was kind of like, they basically said evil flourished down there. Famous body snatchers and murderers, Burke and Hare, often hunted victims in Edinburgh vaults, and they used the bodies, you know, sold them to Dr. Robert Knox for
heard about that
lectures.
Before.
I think that's a story we'll have to cover in the future, Burke and Hare, because it's a really interesting story, and why they were body snatching. Because they were actually selling them to the Edinburgh doctors to do you know, studies on. So it was crazy. It was a big whole random setup. But the vaults are supposedly one of the most haunted places in Edinburgh. In the what, sorry?
Funny enough, or not as funny enough, as it still happens today.
Well,
people get caught like selling like your vein from your leg, 80 grand.
Well, we've got
like what the fuck.
An interesting place is the Scottish Ghost Road. It's an urban legend around Edinburgh. And if you ever find yourself driving down the A75 through Dumfries and Galloway, I suppose it's not Edinburgh really, is it? But it's close. The notorious stretch of highway has been the site of supernatural happenings for over 50 years. Terrified eyewitnesses reporting screaming phenomenons, ghosts, a parade, and even a UFO sighting. The most famous incident occurred in 1962 when 2 truck drivers tested to have seen mysterious vans swerving along the road. And due to these phenomenon sightings, many long-distance truck drivers avoid the section of highway at all costs because they think it might, cause them to have an accident or even just shit themselves up. Don't want to shit themselves on a long van ride.
I must be in the valleys or something.
Somewhere like fucking Foggy out of the way. Yeah, we've not much fucking. So if there's, but seeing vans swerving when there's nobody there, I mean, it sounds like there's quite a lot going on that motorway.
Yeah, it does actually. Is there any supernatural haunters out there who are investigating it?
Well, funny you should say that because obviously check out every every paranormal investigator in an area when we do check for what's fucked up where you're from. And this is much the same. Everyone's got one. And this week we're looking at the Ghost Seekers, Scottish paranormal group, right?
Ooh, right?
Ghost Seekers have worked with many well-known and famous mediums, including the international medium Tracy Higgs and Chris Conway, known for as an ex-most haunted medium, and has also featured on Chat It's Faith magazine and has told stories about the scariest moments of her investigation career. In Edinburgh, they've got some crazy music on the website when you go on.
Okay.
Check it out.
Spooky or
what's that?
What spooky?
Just kind of like no, it's somebody's personal taste. Yeah, like check it out. Definitely go to the Ghost Seekers Scotland group, paranormal group. They've got one stipulation on that. Well, they've got some terms and conditions on the website, which made me. And condition 7 of the Ghost Seekers Scotland will not be held. Wait a minute. Let me start again. The Ghost Seekers of Scotland will not be held responsible for any consequences of any trauma experienced due to any of our events. So if you attend and you suffer trauma, they won't be held accountable. So there you go.
Well, that's fair enough. You need to cover your own back. If you want to go,
we only got one rule.
The rabbit hole, then we
only got one rule, and we just don't. Hey, listen, if you go mad, don't blame me.
Well, just think of it. If you didn't have that in, think about how many people could turn around and go, "Oh, you know what?"
It just kind of intrigues me to want to go to one of their events now because you're saying that there's potential for trauma. Yeah. Well, what you taking me to?
Yeah, of course.
What?
Well, you're about to go into a experience of, I suppose
I was actually interested because I was going to go on a thing this week. There was I think Chris sent me a link to a live event in a prison, and it was basically like a haunted prison, and they were set up webcams. I might try and find the footage and have a watch of it anyway because it did look interesting, but I was going to jump on live, ended up doing something else or napping or something, didn't end up watching it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this stuff about, and there's a lot of these ghost hunters or whatever go on these excursions and invite people along to get a first-hand experience of ghost hunting. So I think that's pretty cool. So
you're not going to believe it unless you see it, as they say.
Well, this is it. Well, I've still yet to see it. So if any ghost hunters out there want to invite me and Taylor along, to a ghost hunting experience, then we would love to come. So let us know at Never a Straight Answer. Yeah, website. So moving on, we have got. I don't know if that must have picked up on the mic. It might have been a bit for this week's main topic is Japanese UFOs. It's a bit of an interesting one. What?
It was a bit of a struggle, I've got to admit.
Well, Taylor last week said that he wanted to choose the topic. He wanted to do this because of the reasons we talked about earlier, about the fact that, There's been Japan's now turned around and said we actually want to start investigating them, and we thought, yeah, I'm sure most countries have their fair share of UFO sightings. Never really hear of any in Japan, but there must be some, right?
There's definitely over at least the last couple of years has been a rise of it as well. Yeah, I've been searching the last half the week, and
those Japanese UFOs. I've been searching
as you would on generally any other country on it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Well, I think we've managed to find one really good one each, haven't we? Really?
Yeah.
And it's basically one of the oldest UFO encounters and one of the most recent UFO encounters that caused media attention. And not just media attention, it caused a bit of fuss with a certain couple of agencies over in a few different countries because it was such an international flight and it was happening over lots of different people's airspaces at a point. But we'll go into that one a little bit later on. I mean, I think we should start at the beginning in terms of what's documented. I found this story, and it's basically, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, it's the Utsuro Bune incident, or Bune incident, right? And it took place in eastern Japan in the Hitachi province. This is a UFO story that has, it's
been passed down through history.
It's been passed down through history, and it first appeared in some sort of kind of like end of the 1700s in a sort of like media magazine or a broadsheet, and the story kind of got a bit of a resurgence in the early 1800s when it kind of caught on in people's imaginations and stuff like that. But everybody knows UFOs have been in the popular culture, and since like the 1930s, the West has had this obsession with disc-shaped UFOs, and the image has basically become a pop culture, iconography, isn't it? In terms of like that sort of shape, UFO, a disc, flying saucer, or an unidentified flying objects. They usually come in that sort of shape, and it's associated with aliens, and most depictions of aliens have them flying around in one of these type of ships. It's reasonable to think that there's a pattern emerging. These shapes come up in popular culture, in movies, books, cartoons, TV shows, artwork, and stuff like that. There's a lot of kind of ancient alien people who are all on top of this, fucking finding different like alien crafts in artwork and stuff like that, and trying to make it into a ancient alien theory or something. Yeah,
which I go along with a majority of what they say on some of that, because at the end of the day we don't know the answer until someone comes up and goes, that's the answer. Well, we haven't got the written thing saying this means this means this means this.
Yeah. Exactly, because it's not a translation. It's a way. It's a language. It's if you lose language,
the picture is the
language now.
Believing there.
If I kind of read a bit of scripture and it says something about the heavens, it might not necessarily mean the heavens that we think. It's just another word for the sky. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but
Adam and Eden, apparently, in the Bible it is where Adam and Eve started, but under the Sumerian texts, it puts that the Garden of Eden was basically a cell to be genetically changed and then let out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the point being is there's a lot of people who are into the UFO culture and community who try and attribute historical events to UFOs, right? Now, this is a really good example of that, because even though it ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of what you're going to look for, then, it doesn't have, it has failures as well. It has loopholes, it has little cracks in the story that make you think otherwise. And we'll go into it in a minute, but I mean, like I say, a lot of kind of people latched onto this, and it basically the story's origins were based in a text obviously found from decades earlier, but soon novelists and journalists started writing about the tale, and it happened that basically in a small fishing village outside Hitachi province back in 1803, the author Kayo Kuti Baskin, yeah. Kayo Kuti Baskin, right? Bacon, sorry.
Okay.
He was a Japanese novelist who first wrote about this event in a book called Tales from the Rabbit Garden, published in 1825. Oh, God, I pressed the button with me. Pressing the button.
Hey, what's going on there? You got a ghost over there?
I got a ghost. So Tales from the Rabbit Gardens, published in 1825, and that came with like a number of similar stories. Do you know, like around? So it's basically an anthology or a compendium of fantastic stories, I suppose. Yeah.
Three authors originally.
Yeah. Well, like I say, somebody else came. I think he's the earliest like depictor of it. I think he wrote it as early as, like I say, 1825. The next was around 1830. And then the next after that was a book called The Dust of the Apricot, which was 1844, and that was another book of stories that was just like kind of thrown a few different variations of folklore and legends, and but basically Bacon's account was the oldest and had more detail. So that's basically what we're going to look at, that story. So there's basically the story of Utsuro Bune no Banjo,
which translates
which translates to the woman in the hollow boat.
Okay. You can say that instead of what?
Utsuro Bune no Banjo,
right?
Which is Japanese for the woman in the hollow boat. I'm pretty sure that's it. If you're Japanese out there, and I've said it totally wrong, I'm really sorry about my pronunciation, but you know what I mean. I try. And basically, so the story starts when on early February 1803 on a beach where a lot of fishermen were kind of congregating, and they basically saw into the distance what seemed to be a boat. So they noticed it was in a bit of difficulty. They thought, right, we'll get on our little boats and we'll row out there and hopefully try and rescue anybody in difficulty, or if anyone's having problems, we'll try and get to them. They finally did. The fishermen were able to, tow the boat back to the shore. So once they did, then they got a closer look. They found it to be more of a disc-shaped, strange object, around 6 meters wide and about 3 meters tall. The object had two distinctive sections, a top and a bottom, whereas the top was basically a hard wood, like a red rosewood, and the bottom was a metallic, basically a hard metallic metal.
So it doesn't damage on the way through.
Yeah, so if it hit rocks or anything like that, it'd be sturdy. It basically had a sturdy hull, right?
Yeah.
So this boat...
You have to be light as well, because if you think of the weight plus the body plus everything else with
we've
it.
not got that far yet, bro. Well, basically, it had crystal windows, which they were able to look into and investigate the internals of the ship. And once they looked inside, they saw that there was a few bottles of water, not like modern bottles of water, but vessels for liquids, some rations, some bedding, and a young woman. So the young woman, they were able to kind of get her out. She was a bit strange and not really native to anywhere they'd ever seen. She was, quite pale-skinned, basically long red hair, which faded into white at the ends, and dressed in a...
I thought it was a bit strange.
Well, also in the ship, they said there was strange symbols on the, like a dialect on the walls that nobody could really understand or didn't know where it come from. But they said that they'd seen similar on British ships that had come in. So they, at first they thought, could she be British? Could she be, elsewhere? Could she be from fucking Spain or wherever else? Do you know what I mean? So the fishermen allowed her to stay for a while, and apparently she was like really pleasant and you know, she was around 20 years old. She was about 5 foot tall. She was supposed to be extremely beautiful, pale with red hair, etc. She was another note from the story is that she was clothed in an unknown fabric, like that nobody really recognized, and obviously didn't understand the language, so he found it really difficult to communicate with her. Found it hopeless. So like I say, they found her to be a quite pleasant person, but one guy came up with a solution, an old villager. He said basically, back in the ancient times, if a king's daughter basically goes out and does things and meets somebody else after marriage, then B's a bit of a naughty girl, then they kill the lover. Oh yeah, because this is it. She was carrying a box around with her, and she'd get a bit freaked out if anybody went near the box, and she was dead protective of the box. So this Chinese old Japanese villager said, well, what they did was chop the head off the lover and put the head in the box. So that's why she's probably really sensitive about it.
Or in a boat and send her on the way.
And yeah, basically. And then they cast her adrift because it's like she's fucking needs to be punished, and they let the ocean take her, and whatever her fate is, that's a fate. Or they hope that the ocean will punish her. But I just said, if they drift up onto shore, then you've been spared. Yeah, so she should have been able to go free if this is the case, right? But nobody knew where she come from. But the villagers decided, because of this, that they had no other choice but to put her back in the boat and push her off back into the ocean, right? Now, over time, this has been twisted into a UFO story, because who was this strange visitor in a craft? And the dimensions of the craft and depictions of the craft and, ink drawings from the time look a UFO. Yeah, they look what we consider today a UFO depiction. But not necessarily is what, 100% it's a boat. Right? 100% it's what that old guy said. He's identified it. But are kind of like years and decades and generations later trying to find these connections within history about the UFO and the ancient alien theory and seeding and all the rest of it. There's a lot of people out there who kind of want to find a connection that potentially isn't there. Do you know what I mean? So
but if no one goes and tries to find a connection, and there is a connection there, and we find it later on where we could have used that connection earlier.
Yeah, true. Well,
everyone's on their own little search on. I want to know this. I want to know that. I want to know this. I want to know that.
Well, she got pushed off into the sea and never was to be seen again. So I wonder whatever happened of her. Do you know what I mean? I hope that if she did get pushed off again, that they put a few more provisions in with her. Do you know what I mean? At least give her a fighting chance. Do you know? But you never know. What do you think? I mean, do you think it's an alien encounter? Do you think it's just that? Somebody who's been set adrift, or
I think that's the story. I don't think it was British. Might have been Russian, but I can't. The way I see it is, it's the story as it's portrayed, but take the UFO and alien out of it. Because them baskets, we used to have them baskets.
Yeah, because they describe it as like part rice basket, part boat. The materials that they describe it being built out of don't strike me as UFOs. Rosewood. Yeah, it's like I don't get why a UFO fucking even anybody who had an interest in UFOs would entertain that as a possibility. Do you know what I mean? So why, when we Google UFO incidents in Japan, is this one of the main stories, that comes up?
Yeah, but if it is, they're pushing a story where there's been a history of 3 authors writing the same story, roughly.
In the 3 stories, it's, it's the depiction, like you said earlier, it's about language. So, when we say what did the translation come out as? The woman in the hollow boat, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I first seen that title, or like, what that translation was, my first thing was hollow ship, hologram. Yeah. And that's my language, because it wasn't hollow. My first thought wasn't hollow as in hollow, like it's got nothing in the middle. Yeah, right? It was like aliens, spacecraft, hollow. Well, that didn't register with me until I went, oh, right, I get it, It's it had a woman inside.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It comes down to language and how we kind of tell that story, and what our ears pick up as and process as.
Well, we know what we don't know.
What we know and we don't know, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's mental. So
unless you're going to search for it, you're not going to know the answers. It's the same thing as like saying to someone talking about UFOs and you start talking about it and you say, well, have you actually had a look into it? And they go, no, I don't believe it, blah, blah. And say, well, how do you know? Unless you look into it. Unless you look into it, I guarantee there's more evidence on that than there is. Actually, yeah, there's more evidence of that than you taking the fucking painkiller or a pill that's going to help you.
Yeah.
There's evidence to say that there's something going on.
It made me laugh when the Pentagon just put out this tweet saying, we've just acknowledged the existence of UFOs and no one gives a shit. And it's like, well, these other things going on. But yeah, cheers for letting us know definitively. We could have told you that, and have, on a number of occasions.
Is it because they wanted to lay it out slowly? Or is it because they had to lay it out because them videos have actually been out for a while?
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Weren't one of them what they put out with Tom DeLonge?
Yeah.
This is the type of shit that Tom DeLonge was peddling a couple of months back, and nobody give a shit then. Do you know what I mean? It's like grainy fucking dots that you're tracking something. Yeah, it's like, well, we still want to see high def images, and we want to see unphotoshopped bullshit. Yeah, we want to see definitive proof. Where you're shaking hands with the alien species,
This is the thing I was on about last week, about how you get when people take footage, it knows you're taking footage. You do not get a clear footage, even if you had the best fucking video camera. In fact, there's a guy who made a video camera he was an actual designer of making video cameras
specifically to pick up aliens.
And these pictures that were coming out, it was like, oh my god. But because these cameras, I don't know anything about them, I don't know what exactly they're taking in there. So them bits that I'm seeing, he's actually putting through the camera. So I can't say, no, it's not, but I also can't say, yeah, it is. You know what I mean? Because I haven't got enough evidence on it, because
you don't know how his camera works, for one. It's like, what's it picking up on? What's he trying to? What is he looking at? Is it focused in an infrared spectrum or a different type of spectrum, or what's the sensor? I mean, the sensor will have to be picking up something.
Night vision seems to be the thing that picks it up. Your phone will pick up more than what your eyes do. And you can see it on the phone. You can actually put it in the sky and, just do that. And if an object goes by, it will be caught on there, and you've probably never seen it.
Right. Okay, yeah, because I look up in the sky all the time, and at the moment, with the skies being so clear, it's been great to, to look up and, sky watch, if you like.
And don't forget, them 3 videos were only caught by infrared. They didn't get spotted out.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but they were tracking that's what I'm saying. But the videos kind of just leave too much to the imagination for me. It's like it doesn't kind of. Yeah, it's a UFO. You don't know what it is, and plus the maneuverability of them as well, which was very impressive.
Speed as well is unbelievable.
Talking about UFOs being tracked and kind of and being caught flying by planes or being caught by planes. This leads us very nicely onto the next story, which was Airlines Flight 1628. Now, you're going to tell us a bit about this, aren't you, T?
I am, yes. It was a nice little Boeing 747-200F.
Was this Japan Airlines?
Yeah, this is JAL.
Yeah, so Japan Airlines.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was flying around the world basically, and it was he went into Alaska airspace. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was trying to get like it was trying to fly into Anchorage, weren't it? In Alaska to refuel. I think it was on a long haul flight. Yeah. So it was
from Paris all the way from Paris, and then he was going to have a few stops on the way, and then end up back in Japan. Yeah. Where he was going to stop and start all over again.
So it's hopping from petrol station to petrol station, basically.
He's down that long road.
But en route, flying into Anchorage, he was in communications with the tower, and they were getting kind of like, sending some pretty bizarre fucking messages. He was basically saying that there was something following him, or at the side of him at first.
He was flying at 35,000 feet, and he ended up just slightly after 5 p.m. He noticed two flying
objects,
left hand side of the plane. So he contacted the tower and said, "Have we got any traffic around?" They turned around with, "No, we don't see anything on radar. There's nothing there."
Yeah, because that was it. He was always asking about the traffic, and he was like, "Well, I've got traffic up here, and I can't get into land because I've got these guys in the way."
So, he's thinking it's military planes.
Or something about. Yeah, at least that if he gets in touch with the tower and asks if there's another plane in the area, can you give him a bit of a signal that we're here and we don't want to get in the way?
No.
So he's gone to the air tower, like, is the traffic? And they've said, can't see fuck all, basically.
No, nothing at all. Radar's clear. Just you.
He kept kind of like saying, didn't he? Like, no, there's stuff going on. So from my reckoning, they were trying to reroute him, weren't they? They were trying to get him off around them.
They were getting close enough for to feel the vibrations. So then they eventually headed to the front. So they were in front of him now. But then they were slowing down, and he could feel the heat and the glow.
Really? So it was literally like it's like the fucking Boeing's up its arse, basically, isn't it, really? Because I know he did say that he was able to see that they had navigational lights. They had like other lights that were blinking, and I kind of
it looked like a normal jet or some kind of, but you can actually see the outline of it.
It looked more like, to me, like from the depictions shown, like turn signals on a car. If you imagine where your lights are on the back of your car, then it was a similar setup, if you like. It's got lights to show where you're going, lights for indication, lights for whatever other reasons, But, it was, at one point, the kind of attach up, don't they, into a form of the flying in formation, these two objects, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're flying, as when they got to the front, they were flying even closer together. And then, all of a sudden...
Is that the picture of the ship?
No.
Oh, right, okay, no worries,
Will be. So, all of a sudden, they go rear off to the right.
Okay.
To the left, sorry, and they go off at a speed. So he's the captain's basically telling the ground control that they're flying off, and they're flying to another object. Right. Can you see this object on radar? So they come through with, there's a big object down that area where you're saying.
Connecting up, because was it the fact that they were too small to be seen on radar, but when they joined, they were picked up as a larger object, and
it looked like the larger object was coming towards the two small objects, and then the small objects disappeared, so either went in or around it or wherever, and then this big object decides to go, ooh, airplane, follow that. And seeing it, and we have a picture of what it's supposedly looked like, compared to a plane. He reckoned that it was 4 times the size of the aircraft carrier. So you've got 4 aircraft carriers on top of each other, and they're like mini cities.
Yeah, they're huge things. Them. I mean, huge. so like to have this up in the sky. I mean,
yeah, right next to him.
So he eventually landed in Anchorage, didn't he? I mean, there was a few more manoeuvres, weren't they, between that? Because I think like he ended up behind him, in front of him, to the left of him. You know.
Well, the tower turned round and said that the military had now got it on radar.
Right.
So both indicated that they've got something big on radar. So he got told, move to the left slightly.
Try and avoid the traffic. Degrees. Yeah, that's right.
So he went to the 220 degrees and the object still stayed on him. So then they told him to turn right, do a 360, which with a plane it takes a couple of minutes, you know what I mean? I think he worked out 6 to 7 minutes to do the full turn to see if it would go out of the way.
Yeah, because it was basically following them, weren't it? Really, yeah. You could. It wasn't just a case of that you've come across a UFO. This UFO was physically tracking them. It was physically following this plane.
Yeah.
You know, Japan Airlines were like, what the fuck? Now the pilot. I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to. But the pilot of that plane, he was, you know, an experienced pilot with over 100 hours. Was it 10,000 hours of flight time? Yeah. Under his belt, he was a noted pilot, right?
Yeah.
The co-pilot was a respected co-pilot with shit tons of flight time under his name. There was an aeronautical engineer present, all of which saw this, right?
Yeah.
But, you know...
And it was a cargo plane, there was no passengers, it was just a cargo plane.
So there was no passengers saw it either. It was funny that it was a cargo plane, actually, if you can come to think of it, but...
So as they straightened off, the object has disappeared. So as they're talking to the control tower, control tower tells them that actually no, he's back on your ass, he's behind you. So they needed to find out by visualization. So they got plane flight 69 to fly close to.
I've not got the button on the thingy anymore that says 69, dude.
Oh yeah, he took it off.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
So then they've got told to move down 31,000 feet. They did that, and the object basically just disappeared.
Right.
Just the plane 69 could see his plane. There was nothing there.
So he just vanished into thin air.
Basically,
fucking did vanished into thin air.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon? Do you think it was another country or a secret operation of testing a new type of plane or what? Because it's funny that it's a cargo plane for one, and there was no passengers on there.
1986, though.
Still, people espionage and fucking. There was a lot of it going on. You know, there was. I mean, how do they know that it wasn't like what we'd consider a kind of a fucking what's that triangular black ship? Memory's terrible.
I can't remember. I haven't said it for so long. The TR-3B.
TR-3B, exactly. Yeah, right. So potentially it could be that before it was known about. You know, they don't know. I mean, it could be anything. Yeah, you don't know what other countries have got in terms of that technology or what people were testing. Then you've got other people like you are just like civilians, mad scientists who potentially could be building this type of shit in the garages.
I think it's finding the triangles and the ones that look like Tic Tacs are looking and more probable to be our technology.
Right, cigar-shaped objects, basically.
Triangles. It looks like it's our technology that we have reversed and made.
Well, fair play.
That's the way it seems to be coming across at the moment.
Right. Okay. Have we got any more Japanese UFO incidents?
There's I couldn't find any videos. I was so shocked.
Okay, so
no videos out there.
So this ship that you sent me the picture of, what's that referring to? Is this part of
this is the ship that supposedly have been seen by the captain. And
okay. So like I say, it's got turn signals and kind of lights on the side. I mean, it like
how big it is though?
Yeah, and there was 2 of them, weren't they, compared to the plane? If that was how big it was, I mean, I honestly can't see that. It's too fucking huge.
No, because the reason why I jump in there because of Randlesham Forest and also Philadelphia Lights, and because and there is a number of reports out there that confirm with loads of witnesses that the object was like a mile, 2 miles big.
So these things are big, man. They're not exactly fucking little.
And consider the ones that go near the sun.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And they're being spotted from Earth using telescopes. Yeah. So, you know, and people are catching them on film. So, you know, fair. In terms of kind of the pilot, when he kind of came down and, you know, give a statement about this, you know, incident, he was struck off, weren't he, off the as a pilot for about 10 years. Yeah. I mean, he was an, you know, fucking skilled guy. He's done his job.
Yeah, he did do his job, and he did his job well.
And because he came out with this, you know, sighting, then he lost pretty much everything. He was reinstated eventually, but I mean, it's not the point, really, is it?
Well, loads of pilots see these. I mean, there's even a pilot who was on YouTube who would go out there and like film this, that, and the other. He ended up after shutting down because he would have lost his business.
That guy, in fact, I think he was kind of sending stuff into secure team at the time, wasn't he? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, he just basically he emailed and said that unfortunately he's going to have to stop doing what he's doing because he was going to get himself fucking shot. But you know, I don't know.
It's no game. These agencies we talk about, like if they want to get rid of you, they'll get rid of you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean? And it's a case of it reminds me of the film Mel Gibson film Conspiracy.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Just one word, one certain sentence, like, you know, pizza fence.
Yeah.
And like
greasy turns.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And if you've got too much, and if you're willing to give, then and let it out, let it slip, they're not going to be happy to have you keep. But there was enough evidence there to keep him clear conscience, because I've got the evidence that something was there, and you can't dispute it.
Well, there you go. There, I think that's kind of wrapped up the Japanese UFO incidents. One from the past, which I don't think really kind of constitutes a UFO sighting, even though ancient alien theorists believe it could have some alien connections.
Yeah, but just keep it in the
hand. Arrived in a boat. Now, you know, translation. You don't know. I mean, it could have been there was no actual kind of thing that they ever said that they saw it levitate or float. It was bobbing on the water, so, you know.
I've been actually looking at in the science of that, of the levitation and stuff like that. You know, the engineering of the spaceships, supposedly.
Yeah, I looked into it a while ago in terms of like how they expect UFOs to be, the propulsion behind it. It's quite interesting stuff, actually, and obviously Stephen Gray goes into a lot of that in terms of his experiences. Check out his new film if you've got plenty of time.
Encounters of the Fourth Kind, I think it is.
Yeah, that's it. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. Available now at the moment.
Yeah.
What's next? So pretty much. I think there's going to be more stuff coming out in Japan. So we'll have another look one day. But I'm glad we got through that with minimal, minimal fucking pronunciations. I was trying to keep it as fucking, you know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't even bother after you were doing yours. It's like, well, at least the pilot got landed down at 6:20 and everything. Nothing else went wrong.
He never had any more problems after that, apart from losing his job. So
might be unpaid, you know, suspended unpaid for 10 years.
I doubt it. I've gone into pilot consultations. So what else can you do?
Yeah.
Well, anyway. Moving on, we've got the news, and this week is no different. We've scoured the news and
the Nation And the multiverse.
The multiverse, yeah. We've checked around. We've looked around. Well, anyway, here's the news. It's the news. Hey. Ooh. Yeah. So it's news time. We've scoured the internet for a whole fucking good hour, at least. Probably less than that. And to find the most entertaining news we can find. But obviously, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the UK and the world. Oh, I've got a little friend here. Hang on.
Hey, oh.
She's gone. She's gone running. The cat. I was going to introduce you. But basically, yeah. Headline: Sheep have been taking over the world. Have you noticed?
I've heard this. Yeah.
Sheep have been fucking running around, running amok, basically escaping from fields all over the place. I seen a video the other day from Turkey. There's been reports from villages in the UK, as well as quite a lot of other places where the sheep are just kind of going into the villages and towns and stuff, going, what the fuck's going on?
And ramming people as well. Ramming people like, get the fuck out of the way. What are you doing in my street here? Get home. You should be at home. We should be free.
Well, more lockdown. That's another one of the headlines this week, which is going to be the headline all week this week. So get fucking settled, guys. You know, it reminds me of that Nick Frost where he's like in Spaced when he goes like, you know, pull up a chair, relax, and get comfy, because you, my friend, are going nowhere. In other news, in quite a good news, VE celebrations around the world this week. In the UK, it was brilliant because people were still having street parties. I remember having a street party 25 years ago to celebrate Victory England Day. And it was brilliant. Everyone got out into the streets and had a big street party, closed off the roads. It was brilliant, you know, celebrated the fact that know, we won that shit. We owned that shit. Like this year, during lockdown, it's been a bit different because obviously Corona. But like, you know, it didn't stop people from. I woke up to Winston Churchill's speeches being blasted out from someone's house, and I was like,
the old people who actually fought for us and was there at the time. I've had to do it twice now. I've got to stay at home. I can't even go out for the next one.
No, yeah, they're the people who actually were there, the most vulnerable people. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, we're there showing the support for the fact that, you know, they did go through some.
Yeah, I've seen a few where they've walked up the street and, you know, there's been people on each side and they've just been like, you know, walk up the street.
Like Captain Tom. Captain Tom was a veteran, like WW2 veteran. And I mean, the fact is, you know, we've got a. Can't let these things that's going on in the world dampen your spirit, and that's what's good. One thing that the British do well is, you know, fucking see a bit of fucking, even as Vera Lynn says, you know, even, you know, when the skies are blue, we'll shine on through and all that jazz. You know, can't fucking argue with it. In terms of around the world though, Russia normally have a big military parade on Victory Europe Day, and this year nothing. They just had a 75 aircraft flyover, which was in to celebrate the 75 years of the war being over. So I thought that was pretty cool. But usually they have a big parade. But there was a country, I don't even know if it was Uzbekistan or something like that, where they actually they were one of the most affected, but still had the parade, which was quite controversial because they were obviously breaking social distancing rules by a long way, and you know, parades people get a bit close, so you know.
It's wrong, man.
I expect a bit of a peak there, I should imagine.
I expect so. Pardon me.
Have you got anything you want to talk about?
Prince Andrew.
Oh, naughty boy. What's he been up to this week? He's always up to something.
Well, he's being investigated. The Prince Andrew's charity has gave £355,297
and 65 pence.
Yeah,
and an old fucking
long serving private.
Who's he been bribing?
His private secretary, long-term private secretary, who resigned after the interview, a little while after the interview on Newsnight about him and Epstein.
Right. Okay.
And if she's a long-lasting one, there is
so basically, he's paying her not to say stuff.
I think so, and this is what he's coming across as. But they're basically saying that she got this money for all her hard work. But
I'm not being. I mean, what I think should
happen unauthorized
is Andrew, in all good faith, should step down as any royal. As has he.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, he should be treated. He should be tried for these accusations. He should be held kind of brought in and questioned over these accusations. If anybody else gets brought in or gets allegations thrown at him, the police should be going over and saying, "Hang on, mate, can we have a word?" Do you know what I mean? That's what had happened. But why is this has been going on for months now, or years, or whatever, and the authorities aren't acting on it. It seems like there's a lot of kind of this going on where it's behind closed doors or we'll turn a blind eye to it, and it's like, can't be done. You need to stop you need to treat celebrities and fucking pompous pricks like you treat everybody else. And if they're fucking guilty, then they should be held accountable for the shit. Now,
you seen that? I got a tweet before with an Australian woman who was ripped away from her child. The child was taken away from her just for standing outside with a sign saying something about human rights, and they totally went out of,
isn't it? Yeah.
Totally went out of order, and I reckon she should sue them for that. But
totally
private because it's over their duty, it's over and above their duty on what they did. So she could claim for it, but the thing is, the police will not charge them with anything because obviously they're the biggest crooks in the world. They're the biggest gang in the world.
To what extent you believe this exists? I mean, obviously people are aware that there's a fucking shadowy cabal or whatever, that's fucking got this ring, and it was exposed with the Savile shit, with fucking, I mean, I'm not even joking. When that dropped, and it was like, well, you've got one at least at the BBC, you've got one at least at ITV. It's like, who else is involved? Politicians, fucking celebrities.
Because they're the most likely the ones to know.
Yeah, well, it's a sensitive topic, but it's fucking needs to be talked about occasionally. And the more people, obviously, the more light that's shed upon it, the more it's going to get kind of questioned. So it's only a good thing.
Then in another way, it might not be a good thing, because if it comes out too much, then people like to go underground. That's what issues have been. That's why.
That's a good point, actually. I mean, in terms of investigation, they want to be able to kind of catch them in the act. If they go underground for a period of time, then obviously they've got,
They've got the darknet, they've got the deep net, they've got all sorts of different avenues.
It's a morbid situation to even talk about, but it's like fucking reality of the situation, isn't it? Here's a fun. Well, let's lighten the mood a little bit. Here's a story about a little chap. Yeah, right.
What little chap?
This little kid, mate. He's fucking brilliant, right? So a 5-year-old was pulled over by the cops on his way to buy a Lamborghini.
What?
Yeah, this kid was buzzing. The youngster said that he'd taken the family SUV after his mum refused to buy him the Italian supercar. He was on a Utah highway and a patrol officer pulled him over. Said that when he got over to him, he realised he was pretty young. So he hit his siren, and the car immediately pulled over. So he approached it, like I say, recognised that the kid was quite young. So basically, he just was like the boy perched on the edge of the driver's seat, and he couldn't even fucking reach the pedals. So, but he wanted to go and buy himself a Lamborghini. How was he going to get the SUV back? Well, fuck knows, but his 5-year-old, he was probably adamant that doesn't understand the concept, but his mum's probably said, no, you can't have a Lamborghini. And he's gone, well, I'm just going to go and get one. I'm going to go and get one. Where do I get cars from?
You can't go get one there, yeah.
I thought, brilliant. That's a proper little fucking car thief in the making.
Have you heard of the glasses and the J?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Fucking well on. well in for that one. It reminded me of that. What's it from? Oh yeah. Oh,
This is
Troubles of Viewing. Hang on 1 second. Have you got any more news?
Yeah, I've
1 second. I'm just gonna let the cat out. 1 minute.
Yeah, go for it.
You carry on.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, you go. You go and have a poo in the litter. Right. Yeah, there's also been news about Australia. They were scared that after this pandemic, that China will go and try and stop bringing in medical equipment because 90% of the medical equipment comes from China and that goes to Australia. Now, they threatened a couple of weeks ago that they're going to cut them off, and now they've done it.
Really?
They've basically done it, yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like we didn't have the infrastructure for PPE in this country. It was a case of the fact that we had to build our own. Yeah, we had to, and it was amazing because there was people who just owned 3D printers, yeah, who were making visors and masks, making visors for fucking paramedics and people who needed face protection. And this little cottage industry of PPE came out. And, you know, big companies started thinking, well, we've got the materials and we've got the capabilities of changing what we usually produce to make PPE. And,
well, yeah, our first batch we had to send back because it was shit.
I mean, then, obviously, we were kind of sourcing it from places like Turkey, and we got a big fucking supply from Turkey.
Businesses in England had changed their workout
totally,
as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They totally went, well, we've got the machines here that normally make this, but we can adapt it to make what we need at the moment. And that's what I'm saying. It's like Australia, you know, they need to kind of think in a term of what can we do in-house, because we can't rely on other people. And like they do have kind of they're quite close to Asia, like, you know, China, and, you know, in terms of getting supplies over quick, mass-produced stock.
Well, the thing is, China, Philippines, the US, and I can't remember what that island is. There's another island there. I'm sorry, I can't remember it now. Now, then, Vietnam. Begins with them. I think
Malaysia, yeah, Indonesia.
Like that. Well, basically, they only accommodate together because now the what's it called? The aircraft carrier that had just been fitted in the US. Ronald Reagan, he's on his way back to get to the South China Seas. Now, there's still been disputes at the minute, and it could just kick off at any minute over this shit.
Yeah, well,
now, all them countries need to get together to try and stop what's happening, because China has started to name these islands now and put it down as, these are our islands, this is our ocean.
Yeah, they are kind of being a bit kind of like that, aren't they? But I mean, it's like they're getting a lot of accusations and allegations and stuff pointed at them at the moment, which is, you know, fucking fair, because somebody, I mean, the way that, like I said this last week in terms of pointing fingers, I think, you know, let everything die down then. Once you've got accurate figures of the fucking situation from global sources, you can kind of tally it all up, right? Work out what the fuck happened, where it came from, do a full investigation. But, you know, I think there's certain leaders who were jumping the gun and saying they did something that they need to, it's, you know, the whole sticks, you know, innocent until proven guilty. You know,
well, according to the president, he's seen something to state that, yeah, he knows China did this.
Well, that's what they're saying, but that's the thing. It's like, until that I mean, if he's got information that we don't know, obviously. But, you know, it's like...
too sensitive now. Later.
But, like, don't allude to that. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what he's doing. He's alluding to the fact that, you know... and he's saying, I've got information that you haven't got, so trust what I'm saying, yeah, right? So, you know, if that happens to be the case, but he doesn't put anything forward, he just says, I just know, don't you worry. You know, and it's like, well...
Yeah, but then it's up to us to decide... Oh yeah, he does or he doesn't.
We're being kind of like led in the dark at the moment. The whole fucking world is, and it's like we can't. We're all kind of there with a little torch.
Yeah, but come on, we have been led in the dark for a long time on a lot of different stuff, and we just seem to take it and not go, hold on, what the fuck are you doing here? What this? You know what I mean? We seem to take it and keep pushing down the line and nothing changes. So what's going to change after this? No one's going to get done for it. Even if we turn around and go, every other country investigates and goes, bang, China did it. China's just going to turn around and go, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's the thing then. It's like, well, what do you do about it? It's like...
Well, sanctions and that is starting with, well, it could hurt them, but the biggest problem with it, and it happens all the time, the biggest problem with it won't hurt the Chinese top end, it will hurt the Chinese bottom end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they don't give a fuck about their own people. They're the backlash after we turn around and go, yeah, come on then, what are you going to do? So then after the backlash, the people are back down and need to be brought back up, that they bring some other square in who's a part of the project and goes, I'll do this for you, and then bring them up slightly every little bit. So you think you're gaining, but actually, no, you're not gaining. You thought you had it, but you got knocked down, and then you're just gaining back up to that little bit again, and then you do it all over again. Right. And there's no consequences for actions, and it's fucking bollocks.
In terms of kind of like that, I think like it's my opinion still remains the same. I think that they need to kind of get it all over and done with and find out what, you know, conclusively, and then look at what the sanctions are and everything like that. I think like kind of rushing in and accusing is gonna spark up more fucking chaos than the alternative. So, you know, I think, you know, that's just my opinion, but moving on, I've got another story. Yeah, we've heard about the Beast of Bodmin, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right, what's that supposed to be? Some big cat?
Yeah, Beast of Bodmin Mall. Yeah, it's supposed to be a big wild dog, like.
Oh, is it a dog?
The size
of, I've heard kind of like panthers, stories of panthers and stuff like that. Yeah, on the moors.
Big cats.
Yeah, big cats.
Yeah, there's loads of those of them.
Well, there's a Beast of Dartmoor. His fears after dog walkers find huge claw prints in the mud. Yeah, so these Holbeam in the quiet Holbeam Woods, 5 miles from South Devon's famous nature park. One man's and his lurcher basically came across huge animal footprints, and they're basically thinking that they put it down to a big cat or like a panther type creature. So are they're getting a bit more kind of scattered now. I mean, they're becoming a bit more prominent in like the moorlands. Is this kind of like a resurgence of a species, do you think?
Well, in fact, we've been doing it for a number of years now on letting hogs out in places and stuff like that, and certain deer and certain like otters and stuff like that. We have.
There was a cull on foxes in some nature park. I forget which one it was at the moment. But basically, what happened was they reintroduced them, and the whole eco-structure of the nature reserve changed.
Yeah.
It attracted new animals and other animals like sort of
participated in a better world for itself.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's amazing how kind of by taking an element out, how much
and
it affects the rest of the environment. It's crazy.
Small amount of time we can turn it.
So yeah, I mean, obviously because it's like now on these moors, they could be rabbits and fucking foxes and, you know, other animals that, you know, what didn't have a natural predator, you know, and all of a sudden there's this new thing on the scene that's actually kind of devastating to that population because they've been going around feeling like the top of the food chain.
Just as long as it doesn't breed to like 50,000 of them.
Next minute, they're all coming in the cities biting everyone's ankles.
Doesn't matter really, because if we prefer attack an animal than a human, because the human, well, if it's a cat, they generally like to attack them.
If it runs out, then it's going to go further afield to find suitable food.
Find dogs, rabbits,
it's only a matter of time before it's like, a dingo ate my baby. And it's like, one of those situations.
Well, there is that possibility, but then again, it's the same possibility of walking out and not getting one over. At the end of the day, we've got to entrust ourselves and the environment around us. If we can't entrust that.
On the Darwin Awards and basically just, stay safe, people.
Use that
Have you got any NASA news this week?
I have.
I've got a few bits. Go on.
I've just got one.
Go on.
Yeah, wait, do you remember?
Or do you want to sandwich it in between mine?
Eh?
Or do you want to sandwich yours in between mine into like a little UFO sandwich?
Alright, go on, I'll have a little European sandwich.
Alright, so obviously on the 27th of April 2020, the US Defense issued a public statement authorizing, the release of 3 videos.
Yes.
If you didn't know, the UFOs allegedly spotted near an airplane in California, experts claim. So what do you reckon? Do you think it is kind of like, we talked about it earlier, but
yeah,
you know what I mean? I think we covered it all earlier, didn't we? I think the fact that they're a bit vague, if you like.
Yeah, but I think if it is aliens, then their technology is presuming to let us to see so much. Or they could have been, invisible all the time, supposedly.
I did see some great memes coming out of this, though, because there was a lot of people photoshopping those sort of, like, that sort of filter of, like, attract plate or whatever over the Starship Enterprise or the Millennium Falcon or any other number of starcraft. And, I thought it was pretty entertaining. In terms of the video, like I say, it's the same stuff that Tom DeLonge put out to me. It's not really that compelling. A few people emailed us with the videos and, was like, what do you make of it? And I just went, meh.
See, I'm sort of sick of seeing the videos in one sort of way because he's everywhere and it's like, realistically, it's not a big story to us. We've already seen it. We already knew it was there.
Now,
There's more of that kind of stuff.
The mainstream media's cottoned onto UFO sightings and such. Well, they've had to.
They had to.
Back in the day, if it'd be one of those puff pieces at the end of the news where it'd be like, and in lighter news, California residents spotted a UFO, and actually that is the next story. A California resident snapped a photo of a mysterious object flying near Alpines in the country. He was flying in an airplane in the California country, according to UFO experts. Sorry, we were going to do a sandwich, weren't we? But never mind. A strange object was most likely an alien vessel that was observing aircraft in. So a similar thing to the,
I think we're going to see more of
the Japan flight. There you go. Does it seem that they do that? They're observing our flight and method of flight. Do you think? Because they must be looking at it going, fucking hell, primitives, that they can't even get out of the atmosphere, fucking hell, check the maneuverability. It just took about 2 hours to do a 360.
They're more than likely thinking, I'm fucking glad they haven't left their atmosphere yet, because the way they're treating their own planet, imagine fucking coming to mine.
True that. Yeah. That's what I've been saying. So go on. What's your news story? Go for it.
Well, do you remember a couple of years ago, Japan decided to send a space craft to a asteroid and fire a piece into it.
A projectile at it.
Yeah, grab it and then come back home with it. Well, it's on its way back home.
Is it?
It will be here in December.
Right.
But
okay.
There might be some issues now.
Oh, go on.
Because
is it going to burn up in the atmosphere?
It has to turn every so often. So when it's doing the turns to try and get back to Earth, the sunlight's been burning it, apparently. So it looks like that the outer crust could be actually burnt. So if we're lucky, we might be able to find something with inside
some of the nuggety core inside. I'm sure, like marrowbone jelly. They'll be in there like fucking with a chisel, chink chink, get in there, fucking crack it open, find all sorts of goodies. Do you know what I mean?
Our atmosphere, the radiation on us.
That's what I thought more than likely. Once it was coming into the atmosphere, it'd probably get more damage.
Well, no, because of the turn. No, because when it come in with the plate securing it. But because it's in space and it has to do certain turns to make sure that they won't
get it on board until it's they've got in the position they need to do the stunt to get into position to come back. So I get that.
And the sun's actually, done some damage to it. Hopefully not a lot, but if it is, then like it was a waste of fucking journey.
I look forward to hearing more about that in December because that's pretty exciting. They've been fucking. How long's that taken? A good year.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a year.
I think turns every 16 months.
Right, so, and how many turns has it made? Well, we've definitely talked about it, so it's got to have been like at least a year, or if not a little bit more. Interesting stuff. Well, that's it. Have you got any more news for us? And NASA news, nothing like that. That's fine. Well, we're going to call that the end of the show then. If you want to get in touch, or if you want to be featured in What's Fucked Up Where You're From, you can get in touch with us at on Twitter at NASA_never, or check out our images at Never Straight Answer on Instagram.
They're beautiful.
I post stuff on there once in a while. You can go to neverstraightanswer.co.uk, where we have downloadable episodes, loads of merch, loads of fun stuff going on over on the website, and you can get in touch with us through there as well. We are on Patreon at www.neverstraightanswer. If you'd like to help us out there and support us. And if you just want to email us, you can get us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.co.uk. That's pretty much it, isn't it?
It is.
Boop, 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 boop.
Get in contact.
Get in touch. Subscribe.
Ask us silly questions. Ask us anything.
Like I say, send us your silly questions, send us your stories, send us anything you want to talk about. If you think that you've got a paranormal area, we can feature you and find out more about that. If you've got a topic suggestion, or if you want to come on the show, you feel like you've got something interesting to say, get in touch at neverstraightanswer@gmail.co.uk. We're available on all podcast platforms, including, in fact, I got the stats up. Yeah, so the stats were quite interesting, but what was it? Anchor have got a whole new stat system, and I thought it was quite funny, so I'm going to go through it a little bit quickly while we've got a bit of time.
All right, go for it, Sam. Go for it.
I'm not going to put out the actual stats, but I'm just going to say, in terms of podcast platforms, I think where people are listening from, it's quite interesting. And it also gets me to say we're available on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Spotify, Podcast Addict, Podbean, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Player FM, and Stitcher. Also available on YouTube with video pictures. See our radio faces. Episodes are available Mondays and Wednesdays. So subscribe. Oh, well, no, we need to start doing extras again. And I think once the lockdown ends, we will be bringing back extra. We've had a few people email and said, what the fuck, where's midweek extra? I'm like, too much, man. We've got to fit everything in. We've got to try and do it. But yeah, we're available on everything. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast playlist. We're also available on YouTube, so subscribe over there as well. Plus, like the live show we were talking about at the beginning of the show, we will be live on YouTube. So if you want to get and watch that and get involved in the show, you can do that by subscribing, and you'll get a notification to say when we're going live. So make sure you ring that notification bell.
And make sure you save all them questions as well.
Oh we want loads of questions on the night as well. One thing that I loved as well in the stats is that we have almost a 50-50 split on the females and males listeners. So thank you for that, because I like a bit of diversity. What?
In both.
And we're obviously we've got listeners between the ages of 0 to 60 plus. Yeah. From 0 to 17, we've got a few in there, and then going on.
Come on, you
millenniums. Well, actually, last thing, we do have a few shout-outs, actually. I did forget, just before we go. So, Patreon shout-outs. Don't forget, if you want to become a Patreon, get over to patreon.com/neverstraightanswer and help us out. There's a few tiers there and a few benefits for being involved and helping us out, especially in these uncertain times. I'm going to play that card.
Well.
I don't even know if I've got my job next week. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not joking. So big shout out to patrons. Jesse G, thank you for all your wonderful support. Jesse. You're an absolute superstar. I love you to bits. Big shout out to Jay. Big shout out to Swoosh, who's super cool Elvis motherfucker.
Big shout out to walking Elvis motherfucker.
Big shout out to Dunk Duncan, the staying in.
Don't leave in your little pub.
In his little pub, love it. Big shout out to Unpaid Programming Podcast, the Inside Oz podcast, Mr. Shirley Crabtree, you're a fucking legend, Diamond Geezer, and he needs to stop getting himself banned off Twitter. But you know, that's why he's a truth teller. That's why. Gareth, I'm sorry I've not messaged you in a while. I've had a week off social media. Tried to avoid it. So I have got a few messages that I will be getting back to people this week. Yeah. So do forgive me, I had to have a rest. From EJ, I need to get back to you. So I'm looking forward to EJ's contributions returning to the website. If you've not, get over there and check out some of the blogs that she writes, as well as what I write and Taylor writes. We've got some quality stuff up there, excellent content. Big shout out to the ENZT podcast and the Deep in History podcast.
Yes, I can't wait to see it. Definitely have a good conversation with you.
Big shout out to the Not So Minnesota Nice girls, Jesse and Jen. Excellent podcast, highly recommend you get over there and check out the girls. The giggling duo. What did he say? One's pretty and the other's almost witty. So go over and check them out. Big shout out to Well Kept and Unclean. The Mallard Report has been giving us a bit of support recently. Liz Reader, again, big salute to Captain Tom. Susie and Chris, big shout out to you guys. Agent Coulson, Gruber, and everybody on the front line working the socks off to keep it real. That's it. That's us for the show this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. Learned a bit about Japan's UFO fucking non-existence.
Yes, I'm gonna check some more
stories. Let us know in the old message, and we'll get back to you. That's it for us for another week. We'll be back next week with another thrilling edition of Never a Straight Answer, and what will we be talking about next week? Who the fuck knows? We'll decide.
How big fish fingers should be?
How? Here's one for you. How confectionery has shrunken in recent years. That's a conspiracy in itself, but I mean,
that's dirty.
It's not just because you've grown up, right? Anyway, we'll get into that another day. Anyway, I've been Gaz.
I've been Taylor.
Peace.
Out.